Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Coffee with the Critters. As you guys know, my name is Laura Joseph, owner of the Animal Behavior Center. We are an international educational center, and we teach people across the world about living, loving, learning, working, educating ourselves with animals of all different species, using applied behavior analysis and positive reinforcement. And we do that through our live streaming services that we offer to people all over the world. And I want to give a special shout out this morning to Blorian Yang over in Taiwan, who is taking our Coffee with the Critters and translating them pretty much on a weekly basis. So thank you, Blorian. I appreciate it. I hope I see you on Coffee with the Critters this morning, even though it's probably evening for you. Good morning, Susie. Morning, Carrie. Morning, Daphne, Krista, Eva, Tim. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Coffee with the Critters. There we go. Welcome back to another episode of Coffee with the Critters. This, as of, I believe we're going on 3 years of doing this every Sunday morning. And we do these live streams. Hey, Nancy from Key West, you did make it. Good. We bring you these live streams to help educate and bring awareness to, things. When we know better, we do better, and we can do better with animals and how we work with animals across the world. And that is one of the reasons why I have a guest on here this morning. Good morning, Carrie. Good morning, Diane. Hey, and Annette. For those of you that may be new, I just introduced myself. Hey, there you are, Blorian. Good morning or good evening. Here's Blorian that takes and translates our Coffee with the Critters. I appreciate that, Blorian. I'm very humbled. But you can be sure not to miss an episode by turning on your notifications. And you can also sign up for our email newsletter list. If you look to the left on your desktop or your laptop, you'll see join our email newsletter, and you will not miss a lot of the content that we talk about even when we're off of Coffee with the Critters. All right. So without further ado, I am going to bring on Greg Mahle. Him and his lovely wife, Adella, are the founders of Rescue Road Trips. And I found out about them through Sharon Collins. She was a guest on here a couple of weeks ago, and she's also a good friend and a big promoter of the Long Island Parrot Society. Let me go ahead and bring Greg into the broadcast. Okay, let me get you on here, Greg. Give me 2 seconds. There we go. Hey, Greg. Good morning.
Hi. Good morning to you.
Yeah, and thanks so much for coming on here with Coffee with the Critters this morning. I appreciate it.
And thank you for having me.
Yeah, and you are also located in Ohio, correct, Greg?
Yes, we are in Ohio. I'm in southeastern Ohio, the foothills of Appalachia.
Oh, wow. So a fellow Buckeye.
Yes.
It's very rare that I get somebody else on here from Ohio. Thanks so much for coming on with us, Greg. Like I said, Sharon Collins is the one who made me and probably several of us aware of Rescue Road Trips and what you do. Can you tell us a little bit about how you got, well, start with what exactly is Rescue Road Trips? I mean, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but.
Rescue Road Trips is a few different things. We are a small rescue based in Ohio. We're a larger transport service that works through Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, working our way up into New England, working with rescues all along the way, trying to help them connect point A and point B. A lot of rescues are pulling dogs out of the South, and they don't really have a way of getting them to the adopters in the New England area. That's where I come in. I will take a week out of my time. I'll leave on Monday mornings, and I will run from Ohio into Texas, come back across all of the Gulf states, and then work my way up into New England, picking up dogs all along the way and taking them to their adopters or to their fosters.
Okay.
And I have a lot of dogs in here right now, and it's kind of getting kind of hectic.
Hey, you no need to apologize for animals on here. I don't know if you've ever seen an episode of this, but usually I'm in my quiet office. When I'm out in the center, there's pigs, dogs, parrots, what have you. So everybody's used to being dive bombed by something.
Yes.
So Greg, why, okay, I'm trying to put the connection together. Why the New England states? Why are you bringing, what made you start from taking dogs from these shelters in the southern U.S. to specifically the states, the New England states?
All of the United States does have a pet overpopulation problem. In some places, it's more acute than it is in other places. The southern states, it is way more acute there. The prevalence of warm winters, the social attitudes. There's a million different reasons of why it's more acute in the South rather than in the New England states or on the other side of the United States in Washington and up in that area. Those areas seem to have a smaller supply of dogs. So, you've got good dogs in one area and you're trying to get them to another area that doesn't have quite as big of a supply of dogs, though I am not implying that all areas do not have a pet overpopulation problem, because every place does.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. We see that very prevalent in several different species. Okay. So how long ago did you get this started? And I know you said, like, right before we started, that it was your wife Adella's, she was the fire behind why Rescue Road Trip started.
Adella is the fire behind Rescue Road Trips. It did not start out as what it is today. Everyone takes a look at it and says, oh, wow, how did you start this? This was a huge progression. I'm out in a really nice new semi with a great trailer that we just had custom built for us. This is not how I started. I started off in a borrowed minivan and running a few dogs that just needed a ride. There was lots of years that I worked in a van and slept in the driver's seat of the van. The most that I could hope for was to try to get enough donations for the gasoline for me to run back and forth. I would leave with a jar of peanut butter and a loaf of bread, and that was breakfast, lunch, and dinner for the whole week for me, or however many days I was going to be out. In the beginning, I wasn't out for a whole week at a time. But this just started out as something that I love to do. I love being with dogs, and I love helping the dogs. In the very beginning, there was a few dogs that needed a ride, and I volunteered to give those dogs a ride. And I quickly could see that there was a need of moving dogs from point A to point B. And I could see all of the different ways that people were trying to get them moved. One was through a thing called legged transports, and that's where a dog gets moved 50 miles by one person, or approximately 50 miles, and then handed off to the next person, and handed off to the next person. I could see that happening, and I could see that wasn't very efficient. And right away, I started thinking, if I moved that dog the whole way, it was far more reliable and far more efficient, and I could move more than one dog at a time. So, I started off with just moving 3 dogs at a time. We're up to, and that was approximately 15 years ago. Today, we're up to around 130 dogs per trip. So,
wow.
Things have really changed in 15 or so years, but what I'm doing today is definitely not how I started. I just started as a guy with a van trying to help out some dogs and having a really good time doing it.
And that's obvious, because I was going through all of your photos. And one thing I have like 30 photos up here to show. One thing I saw was the smile on your face in every single photo. with every dog. So, Greg, 15 years ago when this started, you were already traveling around the South, and you tell me if I'm incorrect. So you saw this need for dogs needing to get transported. So you started taking them in your van and just transporting there. I mean, were you already down there, or were you making special trips down there to get the dogs and bring them up?
No, I was making special trips in specifically to help specific dogs. A rescue would call and say, hey, we've got a dog in Lafayette, Louisiana, and it needs to get to Hartford, Connecticut. Can you do that? And, that would either be a yes or no. Yeah, sure. I can cruise down to Louisiana, scoop the dog up, and get him up to Hartford.
Okay. So you start, I want to talk a little bit about your semi as well, because Sharon was all about that. She was like, this semi is, full comfort for the dogs. Okay,
it is full comfort for the dogs, and it's full comfort for me too. Though, let's not forget the days of being out in the van and having to sleep in the driver's seat with your head on the steering wheel. It'll give you a little knot right there that doesn't go away for several hours in the morning. I can tell you all these little things about that.
So you started off sleeping in your van, taking off with your jar of peanut butter to get you through several days of driving down there and driving the dogs back up. How long did you do that in your van?
Oh, for quite some time, because this was never ever a plan. I started off in a borrowed minivan, and we would just shove it full of crates and go. When the minivan got used up, I started renting vans from Enterprise. And this is where, at this point, and this is really early in our game, this is where Adella comes in, because Adella is just my girlfriend at that point. But I didn't have enough money to rent the van or put gas in it. So I would have to borrow money from my girlfriend, which meant that I really had to swallow a lot of pride to hit up my girlfriend for, hey, can I borrow enough money for a week? I'll pay you back at the end of the week. And Adella was always into it. Whatever, if it was for helping a dog, she was game. So she'd let me borrow enough money to rent a van from Enterprise and get enough gas in it to go get a dog and get it delivered. Hopefully I would get enough donations to pay for that rental and pay for the gas. And I usually did. Sometimes I didn't, but I was having the time of my life with the dogs. You have no clue what it's like to be in a van shoved full of dogs. It smells, it's loud, and it's the most wonderful thing in the world. It really is.
I love that.
Everybody says, how can you do that? No, but I'm thinking, how can you not do it?
Right.
So
tell us what it's like to spend a night in a van with 5 dogs.
It's great because you all become one unit. But I'm going to go from the van into the trailer with the dogs. When I'm laying there sleeping, because I sleep in the trailer with the dogs, I've got a thing that I just pulled out on the floor, and that's where the comfort comes in, because you actually get to lay flat in the trailer. In the van, you had to sleep setting up in a seat, and that is so uncomfortable. But in the trailer, I've got a little mat that I throw down on the floor, and I cover up with a blanket. You can hear all of the dogs sleeping. You can tell if anybody's in any kind of distress or in any kind of worry, so you can get up and take care and deal with that. It's just wonderful to hear everything that's going on in there. You can smell all of them. You can tell if somebody has dirtied their crate, so you can get up and clean that right away. But there's one thing that I'm not going to be able to describe to you. It's the feeling of all of us coming together, and it's looking in all of their eyes. Being in there with them it's like being in a bus full of people who have hit the lottery, and everybody's happy and everybody's excited, but they're just not really sure where they're going.
Greg, you disappeared. Uh-oh. Let's see if we can get him back in here. Everybody's happy and everybody's excited, and Greg disappears on us.
We still have
Hang
audio.
on. Let me
Give me Ella.
I don't think you can see him right
message him on Facebook real quick.
now.
Hang on.
All right.
So I know several of you have questions. You just tell him you disappeared. Can you get back in? Oh, you can see me.
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you want us
All right.
to do?
Hang on. Let me get back over here. I'm going to take Greg out real quick and see if I can bring him back in the broadcast and see. Tell him. Okay. Greg says, oh, we can see him. Well, what happened on my end?
Okay, I think I'm back.
Can you guys hear him?
Hey, everybody, can you hear me? I'm still here.
Can you guys hear him? Let's see. Sharon's texting me right now. Okay. I'm not really sure what to do here because let me do this. Greg, if you can still see me, I'm going to try to refresh on my end. And if by chance I lose you guys, I am going to just create another broadcast and pick up where we stopped. All right. Let me try to refresh real quick.
Eleanor.
Okay. I don't know what happened, but
Hey, everybody.
okay,
I'm still here.
So there's Adella. I know Nancy Forrester, dear friend Nancy Forrester. She runs a rescue down there in Key West. She said, we want to see Adella.
Oh my gosh. I have a bed to do anything. Hi.
There you go. There you go. Adella, thanks for jumping on.
Yeah.
People want to see the fire and the inspiration behind this. And I know several people have questions, but there she is. And we're all used to dogs barking and all that. So, I mean, this is an animal live stream. So, where did we leave off, Greg? I'm sorry. I'm not sure what happened on my end.
I don't know where we left off.
We're talking about sleeping in a van.
Being with the dogs is like being in a bus that's loaded with lottery winners. These dogs are all happy. They're excited. You can tell that they know something good is about to happen to them. I don't honestly believe that they know what is about to happen to them, but you can tell they know something.
And they're probably picking up off of your energy as well. You're happy.
And we're all playing off of each other's energy at that point. And at that moment, that is the most truly magical thing to be in the trailer with those dogs at that point. I've got volunteers stationed all along the way that come out and help me keep everybody walked, watered, loved on, reassured. The volunteers are awesome, and there's a lot of them too.
That's your rescue angels, correct?
Yes, that's my rescue angels. And all of this is kind of planned out. Everything that I'm doing has a little bit of a plan to it, and that plan is to make sure that the dog's home is perfect. I was in the restaurant business for a really long time. I can tell you that when the plate hits the table, 50% of the battle is won or lost right there at that point. The exact same thing with rescue transport happens too. When the dog comes out of the trailer, you want the dog to be happy, fluffy, bouncy. You don't want it to be scared. You don't want it to be covered in poo. And you want those first few seconds with the adopter to be absolutely perfect. I didn't take a week out of my time to set the dog up to fail. I want the dog to win. So those first few seconds are critical of getting that love bond really happening. And 50% of the battle is won or lost right there at that point. And it's heartwarming when you see it all happen and when you see it all come together.
Okay. So that's interesting. how does so you're the transport. You're transporting to different shelters, or I mean, because I've seen pictures of you and Sharon Collins in the semi. How does it all come together when you're transporting the dog and hooking them up with their families? Are you the one actually connecting them with their families?
Yes, I am the connection with the dog and the family. The family has already adopted the dog. They've through a rescue. They've contacted that rescue. They've seen the dog. They've went through the adoption process with that rescue for that dog. The family is generally going to be in one location. The dog's going to be in another location. At that point, once the adoption is finalized, the rescue contacts me and says, hey, we've got a dog in said state, and we've got the adopter for that dog in state B, let's say. Can you go scoop up that dog and get it to the adopter in whatever state they're in?
So you make prearranged stops in different states?
That is correct.
So you're taking up to 100, 150 dogs at once across numerous states and at prearranged locations and doing what's exactly in this photo, right? Connecting the dog with their.
What is exactly in that photo? That is the end part of my week. The first part of my week I have spent running the route down into the south, and the dogs are getting on. Think of a bus that leaves a terminal empty, and people get on that bus sporadically throughout its journey. It's always running the exact same route, but they get on in one point, and they get off at the point that they're going to. I'm doing something very, very similar of where I run a route through the south. Dogs will start joining me when I leave. By the time I get to the end of my route, everybody has gotten off at one of the points in the route.
Okay. So when you pick up these dogs, Greg, how long does it take you to get for your semi to be totally empty?
Well, depends on where the dog got on at and where it got off at. I leave my home on Monday mornings, and I don't return until Sunday afternoon. So I'm out for a full 7 days. Sometimes dogs will get on early in the trip. I can tell you though that there are points that more dogs get on in, let's say, Houston, Texas. That's probably one of my biggest stops for dogs getting on. And one of the biggest stops for dogs getting off would be Hartford, Connecticut. But there are several stops all along the way where one or two dogs could get on, and there are several stops throughout the northern states where maybe one or just two dogs get off. And I've also got some stops that, sometimes a dog will get off at this stop this week, and sometimes that week nobody's picking up a dog there.
Okay. So where do you stop along the way? I mean, it's the same point? It's the same stop every time? Okay.
Same point every time. It makes things easier for everyone if I use the same points and try to hit the same times at every time also. So, just like a bus route, you can count on that bus being at the corner of State and Elm at 8:30 a.m. And I'm trying to do the exact same. It makes things flow a lot easier for everyone. Everyone can plan on things. They can plan on when to have the dog out there to meet me. The adopters can plan their day around, we've got to go pick up from Greg between 11:30 and noon.
Okay. When you're driving along the expressways, do you have people that like honk and wave at you? And
I do, and I love it. I love it when someone passes me and honks and waves or gives me the thumbs up. I get a lot of thumbs up without a horn. I always know what it all means, and I love every bit of it.
That is so cool. Like when Sharon was telling me about this a couple of weeks ago, I was just like, I know that if I was driving along and I saw your semi, I'd be like, hang on a minute. And I would fly to catch up to you and just try to figure out what is going on here. And
I get a lot of that. A lot of times I look down out of my window and I see somebody either taking pictures or recording as they go by me. I like it all.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That just gave me goosebumps. So, okay, Greg, how do you, before I get to that next point, you said that when you connect the people with the dogs, it's like it's so important. You've got that critical time period where it's just either going to happen or it's not going to happen. Is that what you said?
Well, it's not that it's going to happen or not happen. We're just trying to set everything in motion, that everything happens correctly, and the love connection is immediate. There are a handful of dogs that are going to come out timid and everything. Generally, though, the rescue has let the adopter know, hey, you're getting a dog that's kind of timid. There's not a whole lot that can be done in that case, and the adopter is usually up for the challenge. It's never a surprise to the adopter. What you're always hoping for, there are no surprises between the adopter and their dogs. And most of the time, there's not. The rescues are really good about informing the adopter of the dog's temperament, of the dog's personality, so that the right dog goes into the right home. It's really tough for a rescue to get the wrong dog into the wrong home thousands of miles away from them. Then they've got serious problems to deal with. So they work very diligently to make sure that everything's going right for the dog, everything's going right for the family. They don't want any mismatches. This is not to say that adoptions are 100%, because they're not. If you drive a vehicle and you're out on the roads, there will be an accident occasionally, and that won't be much of your fault in a lot of cases. In a lot of cases, there's the same thing will happen with the adoptions of dogs. You'll get one wrong occasionally. Even as a rescue myself, and for as long as I've been in this, I don't expect my adoptions to be 100%. But when it's not working, the first thing, I want that dog back, and I want that dog back in my possession in a safe spot so I can reassess the situation and say, hey, you know what, maybe I thought that he was this kind of a dog and needed to be in this kind of family, but obviously I was a little bit off on that, and we'll try it again and try to get his second home to be correct. That is something that happens less than 1% of the time. So don't be scared of that happening. And if you're dealing with a reputable rescue group, they're going to do everything to make things right for you. But moreover, they're going to make things right for the dog.
Okay, good. Greg, we have a lot of questions. There's a lot of people asking questions. You want to take a couple?
I can take as many as you like.
Okay. Let's see. Deb asks, what states do you drop off dogs? She's in California. You don't go that far west, do you?
Right. I don't do the West Coast. I'm in Ohio. The farthest west I get would be Texas. The farthest south and the farthest west I do Dallas and Houston. That's the farthest south and west I get. The farthest east I get would be Westport, Massachusetts. So I'm going to go over to Dallas. Or Houston. I'm going to come back across all of the Gulf states, and then I'm going to start working my way north and east from about New Orleans up into the New England states, with Massachusetts being the farthest north that I go. I make the turn in Massachusetts and start heading back towards Ohio.
Okay.
Great big circle.
Okay. And it's the same states?
Yes, it's the same every week.
Okay. So that answers your question, Katie. Katie was asking. Okay. Steve asks this. Do you only do this with dogs?
Pardon me, I didn't hear.
Do you only transport dogs?
I've transported a lot of different things. Predominantly, it's just dogs. Occasionally, there will be a cat in the trailer with us. Everybody worries about that cat or cats, because the most I think I've ever had is 3 at a time. But everybody really worries about them being in the trailer with the dogs. And I realized that, fighting like cats and dogs. once everybody's in the trailer, everybody seems to operate as one, and we all get along. I think that part is fascinating. I really do find that the dogs and the cats all just see it as another passenger beside them and another passenger that's getting to go to their forever home and getting out of a bad situation. They don't seem to be scared of one another or mad at one another. It's really cool to watch.
That is cool.
That is cool.
Have you,
Hang
on, I'm getting some feedback.
And to further answer that question, yes, we've had hamsters. You know, we've had a hodgepodge of different animals that have needed a ride along the way. But in general, it's just dogs.
Okay. All right. Greg, something I wanted to ask you about, because I inquired as soon as I got off the live stream with Sharon Collins, I went onto your website and emailed you guys immediately and looked up what the Rescue Angels were. And that's part of your organization as well, correct? Because I was interested in that.
That is correct. And they are a very integral part of the operation. And I could not do this without them. So often everybody looks at me and sees my face and thinks that I do absolutely everything. And I do not. I rely on a lot of help from a lot of people. The Rescue Angels are volunteers that meet me at designated stops along my way. They volunteer their time, they volunteer their love, and they volunteer an evening out of their week to come out for the dogs. I don't really believe they're coming out to be nice people to me. They're coming out to be nice to the dogs and trying to help with what I'm doing. They believe in my cause. Sure. And they believe in helping these dogs. So they'll come out when I pull into that stop. The specifics of what happens is I put a dog on a leash and I hand it to a volunteer. They take it out on the grass. They love it. They walk it. They give it snacks. They give it reassurance. And while they're doing that, I'm cleaning the crate and tidying up, making sure everything's good and fresh for the dog. And as soon as they're finished with that dog, they bring it back to the door. I scoop it up, put it back in its crate, and grab the next dog for them to take for a walk. And we cycle through the whole trailer.
Okay. Yeah, because I was like, I want to be a rescue angel. And I inquired if people want to get in touch with you about volunteering to be a rescue angel, they can just go to your website.
Go to the website. That will be great. The place where we use the most angels and need the most help would be in Birmingham, Alabama, and in Allentown, Pennsylvania. Those are our two big walk stops. A lot of the other stops, yeah, I am just out there busting my bum, trying to do things myself. But I usually don't try to get angels to come out and help me at that point, because a lot of times I'm walking dogs at 3 or 4 a.m. in the morning. And
I'm so sure they would still come out to help you.
Yeah, and a lot of times it's just, you know, I need to pop them out real quick, let them see the grass for a moment, get them back in and get on our way.
Yeah.
We do have a schedule that we have to keep, and we got to keep rolling. So everything is timed out, and I'm trying to work everything at every stop just as fast as I can.
Okay. Understood. So you're still doing a lot of this by yourself along the way.
Yeah, I still get out there and sweat in the summertime and freeze in the wintertime. Yes, yeah. Ma'am, I do.
Okay. So a lot of different people are commenting. Obviously, some people are on here that follow the work that you do, saying that you're amazing. You drove through a hurricane. You're unstoppable. Kim Wendy says it's like the ark for all the animals.
It kind of is a little. The unstoppable point, no, I've been stopped before. We've had some mechanical breakdowns. I remember once I had just loaded the last dog into the trailer, and we were ready to start making our journey north. I pulled out onto the interstate, and the clutch went out of the truck right as we was pulling out onto the interstate. So we broke down. Getting a clutch in a semi is not a quick fix. They pulled me in, they towed me into a shop, and we were in that shop for 2.5 days with a full load of dogs. As soon as they pulled me into the shop. I used social media to let everybody know, hey, I got a problem, and volunteers materialized from nowhere. And they came out and they came to the shop. They kept coming, bringing me food, bringing stuff for the dogs, walking the dogs. And for 2.5 days, those dogs were really well taken care of. And so was I. And as soon as they got the truck fixed, back on the road, and we got the dogs to their adopters. I got stopped once in Virginia. There was a blizzard came into Virginia that just shut everything down. I actually had 2 different vehicles out on the road. One vehicle was 25 minutes ahead of me, and that was the difference. They got through and I did not. I was just 25 minutes behind them. I was there for, I believe, 3 days. It snowed clear past up my waist. We had to cut paths into the snow to keep the dogs walked. In the very beginning, we didn't even get off the interstate or even out of our lane. Things just came to a stop. I walked the dogs right in the middle of I-81. There was no traffic or anything moving. And we got through that. There's a lot of interesting stories. Yeah, I do get slowed down sometimes. I do get brought to a stop, but as soon as things are back up and running, I'm back on it.
Because you're still, I mean, you're gone doing all this for a week, and then you're coming home, and then you're working for a week, correct? And then you go take off and do this again for another week?
When I come home, the first day is spent sleeping. I sleep almost the whole day. The second day, you start with all of your office work and everything. Adella has been in the office the whole time. Though there are a few things that are still my jobs in the office and around that have to be taken care of. It's also stripping this trailer, sanitizing it, putting it back together. It's logistically laying out the next run.
Wow.
Most of the time, my week at home is more busy than my week out on the road. Once I'm out on the road, if anybody wants me to do anything, I get the excuse of saying I'm out on the road. That'll have to wait until next week.
Yeah.
Or it gets piled onto Adella's plate, which is generally what happens. Call Adella, she'll take care of it. She's overworked, but she loves the dogs too. She also believes in our mission. Though you never really get to see her face. I'm the face that everybody gets to see.
I'm going to show you her face here.
Recognition.
Yeah.
But Adella is the one that is making sure that I'm on time. That's making sure that everything is running smoothly. She's the one that makes me look good. So if I show up somewhere looking good and looking like I done everything correctly, it's because Adella did everything correctly.
Sandy says, sounds like you should write a book.
There is currently one book out. It is called Rescue Road. It was a New York Times bestseller. It was on the New York Times bestseller list for 5 or 6 months.
Let me type that in. What's it called?
Rescue Road. Let me see if I can get it into the shop. There it is.
Okay. I'm going to have to get that.
It's a great book. It doesn't sugarcoat anything, and it doesn't make anything overtly dramatic either. It stays right in the middle, and it'll tell you all about Adella and myself. It'll also tell you a lot about the situation of dogs in the South. I recommend it. I really do. It's a decent read.
Where can people buy that on Amazon? Where do you suggest people
get it on Amazon? Yep.
Okay.
Or at this point, it's been out for a while. You can pick it up in your local library. I'm a big supporter of libraries, so swing into your local library. If they don't have it, ask them for it.
You know what, Greg? The more I'm talking to you, obviously, the more I really respect you and Adella. All right. Before I get because obviously, I want to donate to you. How do people reach you to donate to Rescue Road Trips?
Okay, my donut spiel. We charge a transport fee for every dog, which is generally paid by not generally. In the end, it's always paid by the adopter. Some weeks I can make things work with that transport fee. Other weeks I can't. So we rely on donations to make up the difference. Rescue Road Trips operates on a shoestring and a prayer, and I don't really have any kind of a plan for anything. So donations are critical to us. We use a lot of duct tape to try to fix things up. We try to get by the best we can, and it's working so far. But this has never really been any kind of a plan for me, other than, hey, I need to help a few dogs, and I haven't thought about it further out than that. So that's why, yeah, we do rely on donations, because I don't think very far into the future, other than how can I help this dog get to this place.
Well, I think you just gathered
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I think you just gathered a few more followers.
Yeah.
So we can go to your website, correct? At rescueroadtrips.org.
There are donation buttons on the website. I run a Facebook page also, Rescue Road Trips. And if you like following the journey, tune into that Rescue Road Trips page. I generally get pictures of everybody that I've picked up along the way. The volunteers, the angels, get pictures at each one of the angel stops and get them posted. And then I try to get a picture of every dog meeting its family for the first few moments and get those pictures put up.
So people can follow every journey you make on Facebook.
Yes, you can follow every journey I make on Facebook. And sometimes when our website is working correctly, you can actually see on a map where I'm at, though that part of our website hasn't been working 100% as of lately. So
Right.
I don't know.
I was going to say, you know what I think people would love to see? Do you ever live stream when you drop dogs off?
Yes, I do. Every week, live stream.
Oh, okay.
It's a big hit. I live stream from the Rocky Hill, Connecticut, which is Hartford. The Rocky Hill, Connecticut stop. And let me tell you, that is some good stuff to watch. There's going to be happy tears. You're going to see happy tears. And there's a good chance that you're going to cry happy tears. So every Saturday, Rocky Hill stop happens at 11:30. Tune into Rescue Road Trips right at 11:30, and we go live for everyone that's picking up a dog at that location. You'll get to see it all happen.
Every Saturday at 11:30.
Every Saturday that we run, and we run every other week, so it'll be every other Saturday.
Okay, I want to start.
Now let me put a little bit in about Facebook. Facebook never started out as something that I was big on, though I could quickly see what Facebook was a good tool for. If a dog is in the South and the adopter is in the North, they're not really sure of what's going on, whether they're going to get a pig and a poke, or, is this some kind of scam or anything like that. So in order to try to back up the rescues and give this all legitimacy, I started publishing everything that I was doing on Facebook as I was doing it. So the people that are getting the dogs, and here's where we're going to go back to the 50% of the battles won or lost. I'm using Facebook to try to get that adopter as excited as I can possibly get them. So when the dog comes out of the trailer, everything is perfect. And that excitement just pops at that very moment. Here again, I didn't want to set the dog up to fail. I want to set the dog up to win. And I want all dogs to win. So we're using social media as a tool for that. But we're also using social media for next week's adopter or next month's adopter, so they can tune in and they can see, hey, this is a real thing. This is really happening. And I should be confident that this isn't some kind of scam. And I'm going to go ahead and pull the trigger, and we're going to go ahead and save this dog. So I've used social media in my own way to help save even more dogs.
Good. Yeah, because when Sharon was first telling me about it, I was like, what? You met a semi in a Home Depot parking lot and you adopted a dog? What are you doing?
And there are so many people that think just exactly that way. But when they look into it a little further and find out that, hey, I am a real person, and yes, there is a smile with every picture, because I love, hand me a dog and I will immediately smile, and you won't be able to stop me from it.
I know. I'm flipping through some of these pictures with you, and it's just like, look at your face in every picture. It's like, this is so you and Adella. You know what I mean? You can obviously tell obviously you're doing it because you love connecting dogs with their
From the
home.
very beginning, from the first 3 dogs. Yes, I'm doing it because I love being with the dogs. There's nothing any greater than that. And I will tell you that, you asked earlier about what's it like being in a van. If a dog has a hole in it, something unpleasant will come out of that hole, and you will have to deal with it. And you know what? That doesn't matter. It just makes the whole experience even better. I just love being with the dogs, taking care of their needs, helping them out, and and spending a week cooped up in a 50-foot trailer with them. Some people think you're nuts, and I can't think of anything I'd much rather do.
Great. I see Adella's on the live stream helping me address questions because I'm trying to get them up to you as fast as possible. She's answering a lot of them. But she says, you guys were featured on Animal Planet's Puppy Bowl last year?
We were.
That is fabulous.
That was my first time driving in New York City. It was also my first time driving a semi in New York City. So that was a bit stressful for me. The truck was new and we took it right into Manhattan. It was a fun experience.
Okay, so I'm just kind of scrolling through. You have some followers on here that are help supporting the work that you do. No, when Sharon told me, and then she showed me the photos of her adopting. When she adopted him, his name was Lincoln, which his name is now Trapper. I know several of us are following Trapper on Facebook. When she showed me all the photos, and she was telling me about it during a live stream, and I was like, I got to get in touch with this organization and see if they will come on here. So, you said that people can follow you along on Facebook. So when Rescue Road Trips, so when you do break down or you are in need of, hey, we've got an emergency here, that's probably a huge support for you. I could just see everybody fighting to try to get you what you needed.
Yeah, and I will use social media as a last resort for that. I grew up on a farm. You take care of yourself, and you fix what you can do, and you don't ask for help. And that's kind of my philosophy in life and all of this. But when my back's up against the wall, and it's the difference of me helping the dog, I will swallow every bit of pride I have and say, hey, you know what? I need help with, I need to get this dog wherever it's going, and I need help doing it. And I need help fast. Yes, I will use social media for that. Thankfully, I haven't had to do that hardly ever. But I do know it's there, and it is comforting to know that I do have that card that I could play.
And like I'm thinking every Christmas, the holidays are coming. I know, as much as people want to throw something at me right now for saying that, for even thinking about that. But a lot of times I think I have a hard time buying things for people for Christmas because I don't think that far in advance. But just like making a donation to your organization in somebody else's name, that would be a great gift. I'm just throwing that out there for anybody. I mean, because you've obviously captured the hearts of many on the live stream this morning, and especially for who's going to watch the replays, because a lot of shares come out of my replays. That's where a lot of people are seeing this. A lot of people that join us on our live streams here do it for support and are getting up at 6 a.m. on the West Coast to help support the mission behind what we do here at the Animal Behavior Center. And what I like to do here at the Animal Behavior Center is bring even more attention to those people out there doing the hard work that you're doing, like Nancy Forrester down in Key West, the work that she's doing. I like to bring these, I don't know what I want to say, rescue angels, to my live streams. And you guys, if you guys want to help, share this live stream, share it, and let's get everybody focusing on Greg and Adella's Facebook page and their website. Greg, is there anything, I know we're coming up on the hour, and I appreciate you coming on here. Is there anything else you want to say or address? Somebody said they see a movie in the making. Have you been contacted about that yet?
Throughout the years, there has been a lot of talk, and I'll leave it at that.
Okay, well, we'll be waiting.
All of the talk has always ended up being it's never been the right fit.
What do you mean it's never been the right fit? This is a great story.
Every pitch that's been made, it just hasn't been correct. When I leave, I'm going out to help dogs, and I want to help those dogs. I am not going out to make a movie and to make it's about the dogs. Let's not forget that it is about the dogs. And if you want to give them the back seat, then I'm not into it. I'm into helping the dogs. So if the dogs would have to get put in the back seat for the movie, no, I'm not. It's not the right fit at that point.
You know, I just got to say, I love you guys. You guys are great, both you and Adella.
And I'd also like to say that I can't believe the hour's up already. I was so nervous about starting this. I was like, I am not going to be able to talk to her for an hour. I doubt if I could talk to her for 5 minutes. The hour's already up.
Yep.
I wish we had another hour.
Yeah, I know. This goes by fast, doesn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, and that's why I have a way of keeping people talking. Plus, I just show photos of puppies and them being loved and finding homes. This is one of my favorite photos. Look at that happy face.
You know, and that's it's not just driving the dogs around. The photo that you're looking at, if you scroll back, that photo with the Chihuahua, that is King.
Where'd I go? Where's the Chihuahua? That one?
Right there.
Okay.
That is King. King was transported by us, but King was also in our rescue. King quickly learned how to ride on the inside of my hoodie, and his adopter, King, basically lives on the inside of the adopter's hoodie. We had King here at our house for a while. King was a really small dog, big personality, and he fit in with all of the big dogs and never realized that he was a small dog. I love King. King still comes out to the live streams every week. So anybody that's watching our live stream from Rocky Hill, you'll see a few shots of King because he's there every week to see it.
Great.
He was my dog. He was my foster. He was mine. You're like, he hung out with us for a little.
He was our foster, yes.
Somebody had mentioned on here that you even keep dogs in your home and take care of them while they're sick until they can be adopted.
Yes, and King was here, and this is Eleanor.
Eleanor.
Eleanor is, if you can see, this is a broken leg, and there's another broken leg, and she doesn't really realize that she has any broken legs. She is a pistol. Yes, we are trying to get her healed up and get her adopted. It's a long process. She's just a puppy. We're still waiting on final shots, still waiting on spay neuter, and still waiting on, she had some significant injuries. So we are fostering her. She is going through our rescue. We've got a few of them here. She just happens to be the only one in the room during this whatever we're doing. Live stream.
With that being said, so a lot of donations, do they help you take care of the veterinary care?
Yes, because we're a rescue, vet bills are tremendous. Her vet bills are, wow, you can't, even after 15 years in rescue, her vet bills are something that's like, wow, that's a lot of vet bills. And I see a lot of vet work in the dogs all of the time. The vet work is probably, where the dogs are concerned, the number one expense of what you will need. Some of the dogs you get in and they're easy. They're easy and they get adopted quick and they don't have a lot of medical problems. Others like Eleanor, yeah, lots of vet problems, tons for her. But she's healing up great. She's a wonderful dog. I'm in love with her. Adella's in love with her. and we're going to get her into the perfect home. And that's the end result of why we do what we do. We helped her out. She was in bad shape and she needed some help. She needed somebody to give her a hand. And if it just takes if money's the only thing that stands in between her living or her not living, I'm going to do whatever I can do to get her healed up and to get her vet bills paid, to get her into that right home. It's going to mean the difference in her life. It's going to mean a big difference in the adopter's life. I will have changed their life. I'll have changed her life. I won't have fixed the pet overpopulation problem at all. But in one little way, if you ask her, I fixed her problem.
Wow, you're going to bring me to tears. We need more people out there like you. Sorry. I'm just sitting here listening to you, just imagining all the, wow, somebody slapped me. Imagining all
if you watch the news every day, you're going to see what a bad place the world really is. So I try not to focus on the really big problems. I'll focus on Eleanor's problem and the small things and the small victories. And those small victories will get me through. Just where she's at right now, we're at a tremendous victory. We got her legs are all set, and she's doing fine. So I will focus on that. Once I get her into the home, I've helped her out, I've helped the adopter out, and possibly in some small way, I've helped the world out a little bit just by making one small difference. And if every one of us went out and just tried to make just one small difference, instead of going out and trying to change everything, just trying to make one little difference in your day. That might be just by patting a dog on its head or smiling at someone as they pass you on the sidewalk. Just try to make a little bit of a difference, and the world will end up being a better place if we all try.
Absolutely. So many times we get caught up in our everyday life and the stress of our everyday life. I am very aware of that. Wow. I don't know where this is coming from. But, what I was thinking the other day, I was just like, we all just need to really slow down and take a look at the animals in our care and the ones that we're caring for. And that's where that's where you'll find a lot of life and a lot of meaning to life.
Not only will you find a lot of life and a lot of meaning to life, you're going to find love. And love's what I look for the most. You can look in their eyes. You can see love looking back at you. You can pick them up in your arms and you can feel the love. It's what I want. I want as much love in my life as I can get in my life. That's generally why I've got so many dogs in my house, because a dog is just love on four legs. It really is. And look at the smile on my face in the pictures. You can see that the dogs are making me happy. That's love that's making me happy.
Yes. And you know what, Greg? That's why I don't watch the news anymore. I haven't watched the news in over a year. Sharon's usually texts me and tells me what's going on in the news because she knows I don't watch it. There are a lot of really good people out there. There really are. And you are definitely one of them. So
thank you. Get in the shot here.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. Let me get the photo off here so we can get a big shot of you and Adella. Hang on. Let me take a screenshot of this. You guys ready? Take a look at the camera. Ready? 1, 2. Beautiful. I love it. Greg and Adella, thank you so much for doing what you're doing. Thank you for coming on here. Sorry, I broke down in tears. I don't know where that came from. I just think it's just because seeing all the really hard work you guys are doing and you saying I'm turning down a movie because it's not for the dogs anymore. I love that. I love you guys. You have a new fan. Okay, we are over the hour. And I just want to post on here where people can make donations, how they can contact you.
Adella, you that one?
Yeah, donations can be made directly from our Facebook page or going onto our website and clicking the donate button.
Okay. Yep.
Our direct link is donate@rescueroadtrips.com.
Let me type that up there. What is it? Donate?
At rescueroadtrips.com.
.com or .org.
.com. Okay. And then also, there it is, donate@rescueroadtrips.com.
Yep.
Okay. And then also, Greg and Adella, if people need to get in touch with you, if they want to email you, Greg, you okay if I put your email up here?
Yes.
Okay. It's greg@rescueroadtrips.com. Okay. Well, with that being said, Greg, I'm going to follow you on Facebook.
Yay, thank you. And everybody else watching, click that Facebook page, click follow, and don't forget to tune in every other Saturday to watch the live stream.
Yes, absolutely. I'll be watching. Okay, well, I was going to post a couple things coming up here at the Animal Behavior Center, but I don't want to take away from the information here given. So if anybody wants to reach me, you can always find out more about what we do here at the Animal Behavior Center on our website at theanimalbehaviorcenter.com. And if anybody ever wants to get in touch with me as far as sending me an email, my email address is, I obviously forgot to post it on here, Lara, Lara, at theanimalbehaviorcenter.com. Okay. Greg and Adella, thank you both so much for all you do.
Thank you.
All right. See you guys next week on Coffee with the Critters. I am actually heading on a long road trip right now to Southern Ohio to visit a rescue. I don't even know, Mantua, wherever that's at. I'm heading down to Parrot Hope Rescue for their open house this afternoon. Maybe I'll live stream from there later this afternoon. All right, Greg, Adella, thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, for attending.